Hello Internet. So I am back to bring you another video that is not my typical type of video and once again related to makeup. But if you are even somewhat familiar with the YouTube beauty community, you know that everyone is kind of up in arms right now regarding the ABH Subculture Palette. Now, most people I have seen have had really bad reviews on it, and I am kind of really into the Modern Renaissance palette, so when I saw that they were doing a sister palette or whatever, I decided to get it as soon as it was available on Ulta. But ever since it was first released, either to like the PR people or when it was released on the ABH website, because I know it came out on the website before it was released to the other stores, it has had a lot of controversial reviews and people are claiming other people are lying and blah, 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 and this and that. And there have been multiple statements from different people saying, well, you know, you kind of have to learn how to use the palette to use it correctly. And so after like extensive watching of all those videos and reviews and everything, I still decided to bite the bullet and get the palette anyway. And now I kind of decided, like, let's see, this is the first time I have not used the palette at all. I think I did stick my finger in one or the brush just to test them. Upon first opening the palette, I did notice, like, just looking at the shadows, they do look different, you know? And a lot of people are basically saying that they're pressed pigments and not the same thing as like a typical eyeshadow. So I'm kind of going to use all the tips that I have learned from watching multiple YouTube videos to see if an average, everyday, normal girl who does makeup only here and there can actually use the Subculture palette and make a nice look. If not, I will be returning this. I'm going to link down below the video tutorial that I was following to do my makeup. I already have my face ready to go and I have my eyes primed, so I'm going to try to copy Talia Mar. She had a look that she did and she was raving about the palette the entire time she was using it. She didn't seem to have any issues, but again, some people, you know, these people are professional makeup artists, like they know what they're doing. I don't. So I'm going to see if I can copy her look or at least somewhat do it, because she can do things that I can't do. And I'll link, like I said, I'm going to link her tutorial down below so you guys have an idea of what I'm following, and we'll see how this turns out. All right, so let's get this started. She starts off by using Dawn as a crease color. Generally, because of my skin tone, I usually like to prep my lid, or set my lid, I guess, kind of, with a shadow over the whole thing. And Dawn is the type of color that I would use for that, but I'm going to try and copy her tutorial as close as I can, because, well, 9 times out of 10, whenever I copy a YouTuber's tutorial on doing a look, it never looks the same because my skill level is just not there. But we're going to try and do this how she does it, just so that way, like, I'm not like completely skipping steps that she's done, or I'm not doing things completely different, because I'm not anything of a makeup artist. So she uses the shadow color Dawn, which I'm going to insert some stuff here so you can follow along, so you don't have to watch her video. But I would suggest watching her video because she does an amazing look, and if this doesn't turn out well, see the way it was supposed to turn out. Yeah, and see, this is why I generally like to set my whole lid with one really light color, like a matte white even, because my skin coloration is never the same as any of the YouTubers that I follow. I do try to follow some Hispanic, some Asian, because they tend to have yellow undertones as myself, but this is her transition crease shadow or whatever, and it shows up on her video. It does not show up on mine, so we're just gonna keep on going. And yes, this shadow is powdery. I personally think that the Modern Renaissance shadow is pretty powdery too. This is a bit more. But like I said, I've used the tips that I've seen on other things. I'm going in with a very light hand. I'm not swirling my brush around. I'm just lightly tapping it. I'm lightly going into my, barely touching my skin, which with this shadow, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. But as I start using other colors and things, I know that, you know, I'm going to have to go with a delicate hand, because I guess the whole pigment, the whole pressed pigment thing, it's like if you do it too heavy, it almost sort of stains in that like first stroke. So it's going to be real important to just work with very light hands to build it up. Now it looks like next she goes in with the color Roxy. And that is the controversial shade from, I think, Alyssa Ashley's video that she hit pan in the first time. And everyone's like, well, why would you do that? Why would you? Because, you know, most of us are used to using shadows that you can go in once or twice. Okay, so I probably went in heavier than I should have. But since this is a color that she's concentrating only to one specific side, it's, again, not that big of a deal. But at least I am starting to now see color. Because I'm using a little bit darker of a shade. Like I said, this is Roxy. And I'm just kind of going along with Talia. She only puts a little on, but her skin color is a bit lighter than me, so I'm just gonna like build it up a little bit more, just so it kind of shows up on my skin. Now you can at least start to see like color going in. One of the big things that I've seen in a lot of the videos of people saying is how these blend horribly. So far, I'm not seeing that. I think also, this is, like I said, I'm going in after having seen a bunch of videos. All these other artists went in, you know, going after the same sort of shadow as the Modern Renaissance palette. But so far, I think it's blending out pretty nicely. This looks really cute. Just these two colors that I've used so far. Let's see. Next, she goes in with New Wave. And that's kind of a camel type color. And she said she's just going to use it on the outside of her crease, but it kind of looks like she's patting it all over her lid. So I'm not really sure what's up. Okay, it's starting. See, this is the problem that I always have. It's starting to look kind of orangey because of that New Wave color on me. Although I don't hate it, so let's just keep going. Yeah, these are intense pigments because, like I said, I've barely put it in the pan at all, and it's just like, damn. So at least she brings it up. Now see, this is probably why I should start getting my eyebrows done, because these beauty gurus have a lot more space to work with because they don't have caterpillars. But I'm gonna bring it up anyway. She uses a brow bone highlight, which I'll calm it down later with that as well. Okay, next she goes in with All Star, and this, oof, that's a very pretty like burgundy maroon, and I'm not playing around with this because this is definitely going to be one that I have to be careful with. She just focuses it on like almost her outer V kind of. So I'm just gonna like lightly, oh my gosh. I'm just lightly tapping this after barely touching the pan because I'm very nervous about these things, but holy crap. With barely anything on there and barely touching my skin, it's just, it's a really pretty color. I gotta follow along what she's doing and see how I finish this out. So I'm gonna clean off this brush because I like this brush to blend. So I'm gonna clean it off and just kind of clean up the edges. Now I don't know how it's showing up on camera, but at least in person there's like quite a, like you can still see the different colors. Now I know a lot of people have been saying how like muddy and stuff it gets, but I feel like if you do it very lightly and delicately, you can still see all the different colors. Alright, now she just builds all this up and makes it much more intense, this all-star color. So let's get going. See, I was going in all nervous and light-handed, but she makes it brighter. Oopsie. Alright, this could be an issue because I did go in too heavy with it right there. So we could have just stained my lid. But let's see if we can blend it out and make it work.
Okay, I was going to edit this out, but I decided to just do voiceover because for both of these eyes, I kind of used a heavy hand and was nervous about being able to blend out the color. But as you can see as it goes on, I'm actually able to blend it out and wear it down, so it's not that bad, and it does look nice at the end of it.
All right, next she goes to the color Cube, which is one of the two duochrome shadows in the palette. It looks like a very bright white in the pan, but on the skin, since it's a duochrome, it has a very pink shine to it. So I'm going to highlight my brow bone with that. And unlike the other colors, this duochrome does not appear to go on very... Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, I don't think I've ever used a duochrome shadow before, and I was very intrigued by these two colors that are in here, which I will be using the second one later, I know. But they're really cool. I mean, it is pretty cool. They don't go on as intense as the other ones, the matte colors, but that's okay. Oh yeah, now that I've added, see, I have to add quite a bit more for this to even show up, but it is going really cool. I'm gonna go in with a clean brush and sort of blur those edges together, because you don't want like a harsh line, even though you can't really tell on camera, but in person it makes a difference. All right, I'm just gonna like angle my mirror around, so sorry if it blinds you, but this is really cool. I've never used a duochrome shadow before, so that's cool. Let's see the next step. Okay, so next she kind of is going to do like a tiny cut crease in the beginning. I've only tried to do a cut crease ever once in my entire life, so I'm gonna give it a go. I do have some concealer, and I'm really nervous about this, but let's just see if I can kind of mimic what she does. Basically, what she does is she uses the concealer on a little brush, and she sort of carves out a little area and lays down the base of concealer so that, you know, there's no color or anything. And I think I have way too much concealer on this brush, so let's tone that down. And she's basically just laying a blank canvas, kind of. This is not gonna work. To lay down this next color. I'm not a makeup artist, guys. But next, she goes in with the second duochrome shade of Electric. And this one in the pan looks kind of almost looks like a holographic kind of green, but we're just going to, oh, you know what? I think I should go in with the wet brush, but I'm not sure. Let me check. All right, so she goes in with the dry brush, so let me go in with the dry brush and see how that goes. I don't know how she went in with a dry brush because there's literally like nothing happening. Oh, there we go. I'm going to try it with a wet brush and see, because I don't think it's really doing anything on a dry brush. So let's try it with wet. I mean, it's picking up on the wet brush, which it didn't look like it was doing on the dry brush. So let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. I don't know if either she doesn't say that she's using a wet brush, or if she's just talented and can do the, oh gosh, that looks so cool. All right, well, we're gonna keep building this up because it's not covering. I gotta make sure to cover all of the concealer spots. So, and of course it doesn't exactly look like a cut crease look because I'm not a makeup artist, guys. I'm just a girl standing in front of a mirror trying to make a really controversial palette work. Since I've got the base of it down with that, you know what, let me just do one more with the wet brush still, even though the brush isn't very wet anymore. I want to, yeah, they do look like they match in intensity, kind of. So now I want to go over it with a dry brush, which I'll use this one, and just see if I can sort of clean it all. No, I mean, it's not going to clean it up, but I'm just going to go over it with some dry powder. Maybe de-chunk the pan I don't know. Sometimes, you know, when you use a wet shadow in a wet brush in a shadow, it kind of makes it get like, it gets like all, I can't think of the word. It just gets gross in the pan. And that's kind of what started to happen. So I'm going to use a dry brush and hopefully fix up the pan. And this is like super intense. Now she goes back in with, I believe, a clean brush or maybe a little bit of extra All-Star, and then she blends this together so it's not too much of a solid line. So I put a little bit of All-Star on it, and I'm sort of going to do that as well. Oof. And we're gonna blend it out on both eyes. Blur that line together. And I feel like it's almost like a dragon look. I'm very Game of Thrones like right now. All right, let's see what the next step is. Okay, so at this point, she's done with the main part of her makeup look. She goes off camera and does her full face because she did her eyeshadow first and then does her face. I generally don't do that, even though most people would suggest to do that because of fallout or anything else like that. But so she does her full face, and now she's going to come back and do the under part of her eyes. So I don't know if I'm going to follow that tutorial exactly because I do really bad when it comes to like shadow lining underneath my eye. So she starts off with the shade Destiny, and she goes right up against the waterline. So I'm going to see if I can do this. These might work better than typical shadows because of how much they're like almost like staining, you know, with the pigments. So it actually does show up right now, which that's something that normally, one of the reasons why I'm so bad at this, because it doesn't usually work, and normally it doesn't do such a good job. Okay, so I finished smudging out Destiny. Clean my brush, and I know she goes in with New Wave next.
And I'm just going to smoke out.
And she just smokes it out, so I don't know how the orange is going to smoke it out, but let's see. And then she takes the shade Untamed, which is a really pretty tealy, turquoisey kind of color looking thing, and she goes right along the bottom with that as well, which, see, for me, with her, she's stating, oh, I do this, the waterline, then a little below this and that. Well, you know what? Mine is all at the same exact spot. So basically, I just look like I have a weird line. But if any of you can follow along with these online video tutorials and get the exact look that the YouTuber gets, more power to you, because I never can. So far, I'm really liking this. So basically, this is the end of her look. She goes off camera and puts on false eyelashes and mascara and is done. I am not going to put on false lashes, but I'm going to just do some liner and mascara, and I'll be right back. Alright, so there you have it. Can a normal, regular person get a nice look with this Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette? I think my answer is yes. I really enjoy this look. I think it looks great. I honestly did not think it was that hard to figure out how to use the shadows. So, I mean, I kind of am judging the professional beauty gurus who couldn't adjust their hand when applying this. I mean, I would think that most of those makeup artists know that different shadows and different types of formulas use a different hand. I'm not here to judge them. All I'm here to do is say that any normal person with a little bit of studying can use this and create a really cool look. I am super excited to try different things, and, you know, always make sure to use a color wheel, not to use opposite colors so you don't mix them together to make brown or gray. I mean, that's kind of common knowledge too, right? Anyway, so like I said, all the links will be down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. Bye.